Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to the Thursday, August 21st, 2025 City of Tumwater Public Works meeting. With us today, we have Councilmember Althauser, Councilmember Jefferson, and myself, Councilmember Swarthout. So first order of business is to approve the minutes we have two meetings from June 5th, 2025 and July 17th, 2025. Can we approve them? We have to approve them separately, probably, correct? I'm getting a look from
I think
Michael.
we could do one motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Okay.
Which I would move that we approve the minutes from the June 5th, 2025 meeting and the July, is it 7th? I'm pulling it up.
17th.
July 17th, 2025 meeting.
And I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thank you. All right, next we have up is our 2025 comprehensive plan update for the transportation plan. And take it away, Dana.
Good morning, Dana Bowers, Associate Planner. So thank you so much for having me today so we can chat a little bit about the comprehensive plan update, specifically the transportation plan. This is a 20-year plan and we're really grateful to have reached out to the community and gotten quite a bit of feedback and information from them. And we're grateful to work with our consultant, Fair and Peers, and they have provided great analysis for us. So I'd like to introduce Daniel Dye from Fair and Peers. He's with us today and will give us the background and some information and lead us through the conversation. I'll be here to answer questions as well. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you, Dana. Good morning, Council. Today we're going to be talking specifically about the transportation plan. Please do feel free to stop me if you've got any questions, but we will also have time for questions at the end of my presentation. We're going to talk through quite a few different topics, and it's going to be a little rapid fire. We're going to talk about the draft biking, walking, and rolling plan, the public outreach that's been conducted so far, the draft goals and policies as part of the new transportation element, the future transportation network, kind of what do we expect to change in the future in the next 20 years, and then with that comes the 20-year project list. Talk real briefly on funding, and then conclusion and next steps, and time for questions after that. So first up is the biking, walking, and rolling plan. So this is really an active transportation plan that covers all of the different modes of how people get around. So primarily human-powered modes, walking, biking, using a mobility device like a wheelchair or a scooter, skating, skateboarding, or using newer technologies like e-bikes and e-scooters and things like that. All of those are kind of considered in this plan. We obviously need to invest in active transportation for a lot of different reasons. One is to provide access. I like to say every trip, no matter how you're completing the trip, starts probably as a pedestrian trip. Because even if you're walking to your garage inside your house, you've still got to walk there. And then when you get out at your destination, you're probably walking into the building from the parking lot. But we also know that there are a lot of other reasons to provide that access, including community health. There are new requirements from the state to have vehicle miles traveled reduction targets as part of everybody's comp plan. And then we also want to think about mode shift. You know, there's only so many, we can only build so many roads and things like that. So the more dense we become, the more people that live in Tumwater, at some point the geometry just doesn't work, and we're either going to sit in hours of traffic every day, or we're going to need to think about shifting modes to something that's more space efficient. On the vehicle miles traveled reduction targets, this is essentially, as a community.
Daniel, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know, what is your expertise? Are you an engineer? Do you do this for cities? Just give me a little background information on you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jefferson. Sorry, I did not introduce myself. I am Daniel Dye. I am a senior associate transportation engineer, although I sit really on that engineering and planning line. A lot of the work that I do really would be traditionally transportation planning. I've been with Fair and Peers for 9 years now. And so I've worked with a number of different communities on their comprehensive plans, including Tumwater.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So on the vehicle miles traveled reduction, so really as we look at the community-wide scale, we're looking at reducing the number of miles people are traveling in a vehicle over the next 20 years, 20 to 30 years, on a per capita basis. So I want to be really clear, with population growth, overall vehicles on the road may increase over the next 20 or 30 years, but we're hoping to reduce the number of miles that each person is taking. And that could be by taking transit, walking or biking more. You see over here on the right side of the screen, we've got a mode share goal of shifting single occupancy vehicles, kind of driving alone in your car, shifting 5% of those to bike trips, 5% to walking trips, and 5% to transit trips. With that, the mode share goals, the existing mode share, by and large, unsurprisingly, most people are driving alone, and this is specifically commute data. That's unfortunately just the best data that we have at a citywide scale of how people are getting around. And we do know that those trips tend to be a little heavier on single occupancy vehicle because you're not usually traveling with someone else when you're going to work in most cases. Or maybe you are for part of it. You know, my trip into work this morning was a carpool for about half of it when I dropped off my child at daycare, and then it became a single occupancy vehicle trip. So thinking about how do we shift those trips to more space efficient modes over time. The next concept that I want to introduce to you is what we call level of traffic stress. And this is really a newer metric for transportation planning and engineering. It's only been in the last, maybe 5 or 10 years that this has really started to catch on, and it's becoming very common in comp plans this cycle of looking at how do we provide not only a facility for people to walk and bike and roll on, but how do we provide something that is both safe and comfortable? So the scale goes from 1, which is kind of something that you would feel safe with your child, maybe biking and walking and rolling on, maybe getting a little bit out in front of you, not being right beside you, versus LTS 4 is kind of the least safe and least comfortable feeling facility. So if we think about that, it's not just, is there a facility, it's what type of facility and how does that feel based on the characteristics of the roadway. So we have 2 different metrics for level of traffic stress. We have one for pedestrian and we have one for bikes. Here on this first slide is the existing pedestrian level of traffic stress, and you can kind of see it ranges from a 4, where there is no pedestrian facility, no sidewalk or anything, all the way to a 1, depending on the size of the roadway, the functional classification for a separated path or trail. So we really think about what are the different types of facilities and how do they feel if you're walking alongside them. The city's goal, the draft goal that we've put together, is to build an LTS 2 or better network, so an LTS 1 or 2 network. And that really means that it would be essentially safe and comfortable for most users. You may not want to let your child run out a little bit more ahead of you, but it's a facility that you feel safe walking on with them. When it comes to bikes, and I should say, you can see over here on the map on the right side of the screen, there is a good bit of LTS 2 facilities where there is sidewalk on both sides, on collectors and arterials, but there is also a lot of 4 where there is either no facility, where there's essentially no facility currently, or not a continuous facility at least. When it comes to bikes, it's a little bit more nuanced just because bikes often are on the road in a striped bike lane. So we consider a few more factors, including speed and the average number of vehicles on a particular road on any given day. So you can see here, and there's also just a lot more types of bike facilities. For sidewalks, it's pretty much a sidewalk or a fully separated path are the main facilities that we're looking at for pedestrians. But for bikes, we go anywhere from no bicycle facility to striped bike lanes to separated bike lanes or shared use paths or trails. So as the speeds and as the volumes go up, you can see it gets higher and higher LTS volumes. And that's reflected on the map on the right, where there's a few LTS2 segments, but by and large, it's LTS3 or LTS4 for most of the arterials in the city. With that, we did want to talk a little bit about the existing pedestrian network and pedestrian priority network. So as part of that analysis, we looked at, and it's a little hard to see on this slide, I know, but you can see where there are sidewalks on one or both sides of the street. This is the best data that we've got about where sidewalks exist or do not. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're all in good repair or that they meet ADA requirements or things like that, but it does mean there is a sidewalk there in one way or another. On the right side is what we've put together is the draft pedestrian priority network. So this is where we want to focus on building new pedestrian connections where they are missing in most cases, or they're only on one side of the road, to provide more access and more of a continuous network so that people can have a safe and comfortable place to walk on sidewalks and such. Same with the existing bicycle network. There are a number of bike lanes in Tumwater, as well as a few trail segments. But by and large, those are those higher stress facilities in most cases. So this is really showing where do we want to fill in some of those gaps and provide a more complete system so that people can bike or roll in other places and get to kind of more destinations outside of a car. On public outreach, we did have a number of different outreach activities. One was the transportation tour with Planning Commission and City Council. I believe I met several of you on that tour back in, I don't want to guess on the date, September. That's probably completely wrong.
February.
February. I was thinking it was a little colder than September, so thank you.
And a little darker.
Yeah, a little darker, but that was actually kind of good because one of the things that we think about is how do we make it safe for people to walk and bike all parts of the year, and illumination and kind of what you can see as a driver or as a pedestrian or bicyclist is very different at night, especially in areas outside of kind of the more dense core where there is more street lighting. We also had a transportation open house. Community members were able to put dots on a map, provide sticky notes of comments and things like that. And they were also specifically asked a few questions about how do you travel around the city, what stops you from using other modes other than driving, and how could we make those other modes of transportation more appealing. So we really appreciated getting that feedback, and we've really worked to incorporate that feedback in these drafts that are in your packet. With that, the draft transportation plan goals are shown here. There's 5 of them. That is down from 19, I believe, in your old plan. We really try to consolidate those. It's not to say that anything went away from your old plan. Most of the things are carried forward. They're just put into 5 kind of overarching buckets. So I'm going to go through those one by one, but please do stop me if you've got any questions on any of these draft goals. Goal 1 is to improve and maintain a complete system that efficiently supports people walking, rolling, biking, accessing transit, driving, and making regional connections. 2 is to prioritize safety and quality of life, especially for the most vulnerable users of Tumwater system. So we think about vulnerable users as people who maybe don't own a car for financial reasons, or people that are outside of vehicles. We've made a lot of improvements on vehicle safety for occupants of the vehicle, but if you're outside of a vehicle, either walking or biking or rolling, it can be a lot less safe with heavier vehicles and higher vehicles. Goal 3 is to invest wisely to support a resilient and maintainable transportation system. 4 is to minimize our impacts and advance environmental goals. And then 5 is to build public support for transportation system improvements by incorporating robust outreach as part of transportation plans and design projects. So really making sure that we're building what the community is supporting there. Up next, we're going to get a little bit into the future automobile network, but there are a few things I need to explain before we get there. The first is this concept of level of service. Essentially, it goes from LOS A to F. I say, unlike school teachers, we didn't forget E in our grading system, so there is an E in there. And essentially, LOS A through C is pretty, low congestion or no congestion. D is where it starts to get, a little bit more congested and you're sitting and waiting. E and F are really reserved for, heavy congestion. F is essentially, you're sitting through a traffic signal for more than one cycle. So you've gotten a green light for the people in front of you. You didn't make it through that green light, things like that. So that's kind of the scale that we're looking at. When we look at the future automobile network, and we looked at your existing and future, but we're just going to focus on future for today. We looked at 40 different study intersections all throughout the city and UGA area. 11 of those are actually already planned and already on previous plans to be roundabouts. Outside of those 11 intersections, 5 more are expected to exceed the level of service standard without improvements.
Daniel, I did have a question on that one. So I'm looking at the ones at the top that are up there off of North Street, the Cleveland connections that that show that they're like a low priority. So I wasn't sure if that really that they really are, because right now they show a level of service of A through C. They're the 4 top ones. On another page there, we show them on page 49. We show that's on the another one that you showed that's provided, but I was just surprised about that one. That I thought anyway, I thought we were planning those to be roundabouts, so I guess I'm not sure why what they're not showing there, that they should be like leveled up, that they should be roundabouts.
So you're saying they look like they're showing as really good level of service. They're showing as green, but they're planned to be roundabouts and just trying to get that.
Well, I'm questioning, the 4 dots at the top, that one, what the plans are for those, for that particular, because we've gotten feedback on those particular intersections. So I'm sorry, I'm just being kind of babbly, but I'm just curious, what is the plan for that? Based on what the comp plan shows, the future auto network there, so.
I don't have that in front of me right now, but let me get
Okay.
to when we get to the project list slide, we can look at those in particular.
Right, I'm sorry, I should have waited till that one,
No,
because it shows that they're low priority, and I was surprised by that.
Well,
I could probably
go
sorry.
ahead, Brandon. Thank you. You go
Did I
ahead.
jump ahead? I'm sorry, Dana. I can wait till
No,
you're-
we
not
get
at
to the
all.
project
It's just
part.
it's just clarifying what this map shows, but I think Brandon is the perfect person to answer the question.
So
Okay.
this map here is showing what the future conditions will be like after the projects that are planned are complete. And so when you're
Okay.
probably looking specifically at North Street, Custer, everything in the
Correct.
triangle. Those
Right.
are shown as green because the plan is to have roundabouts and a significant
Okay.
amount of the traffic will be diverted to the East Street connection.
So it'll change them to A's, but again, then we go into the projects and they're showed as a low priority, so I was surprised by that rating, so.
So that part, Daniel might be able to clarify in later slides, but my assumption is that they would be low priority because they are currently, we cannot undertake them until the East Street connection is done. And so that might be why.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
That's likely part of it, and part of it, we'll talk about the prioritization a little bit. Actually, that's actually coming up on the next slide. So want to just talk through the priority projects. So these are essentially, we came up with, based on the goals, we came up with several metrics, 1 to 3 metrics, I believe it was, for each of the goals to give points to each project. So a perfect project would probably be something that improves bike and ped connections. It also improves an existing or future level of service failure. while also being, in, lowering life cycle costs or something like that. So I don't have a perfect project in mind, but there's a lot of different things that go into the prioritization. And really the reason for the priority projects is not to say, okay, the city should build all of these high priority projects first and then move on to the medium priority projects as funding becomes available. It's really to say, is there a mismatch between your expected revenue and your expected expenditures? The project list is pretty well calibrated for Tumwater to be close to what you're expected to be able to afford over the next 20 years. That's not always the case for every city. Lots of cities have a much bigger project list, and it's not to say that you can build everything on this project list in the next 20 years, but with current projections, with current revenue, with current funding, it's not super short of building all of those things. So don't think of the high priority projects as we're going to build, projects 1 through 5 first, and then we're going to move on to 5 through 10. Think of it as more of an exercise in helping make sure that if there is a funding shortfall, this is some of the things that we can think about. And this will be continually reevaluated as well. It's never a case that we put together one of these plans and we can't go back and look at it by the time that we're starting to think about, funding for the next 6 years of your transportation improvement program. I think that is really where the rubber hits the road a little bit more compared to this long range planning. So we do have high priority projects. You can see many of these are pedestrian and bike or bike and pedestrian projects. And again, that's just by and large a function of the scoring of how we set it up to have, a lot of different points for a lot of different items. But a lot of even the vehicle focused projects did also have that bike and pedestrian component if they scored super well on that prioritization. On the medium priority projects, you do see quite a few more of those vehicle and intersection projects. Several of those are probably items where there was not a current planned roundabout or there was not an intersection improvement. And so therefore there does need to be some new project brought in to build that connection based on the LOS analysis that we've done. And then on the low priority projects, that again gets to some of those other intersections that are roundabouts. Again, not to say that those are the lowest priority, but just because of the fact that they're not failing with the roundabout, that's kind of how they shook out in the scoring. We do have time if we want to look through any of these particular projects, and I know there's a lot on the screen, so if there's any questions about any particular projects, if council members could just give us a number from your packet and we can go to that slide if needed.
Do you have any questions? I was surprised, rural, I can't even say this morning, rural road. Because that was one that that has been kind of one of my little pet ones because I see people going back and forth. So it was nice to see that one, that the study came across on that one too, is an opportunity to increase sidewalks there as well, to be able to address the pedestrians that we do have in the apartments and some of the houses that are up the way. So that one made the list. So, and it's high so for pedestrians. So.
Another question for the committee, is there anything that you felt like was missing from the project list that just should have been on there and you didn't see it, or anything that you thought, oh, I'm surprised that that did make the list on the opposite end?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm just happy to see, the bike lanes that are coming, because our community is very interested in those safe bike lanes. So I'm glad to see. As a matter of fact, most of these are bike lanes, right? Looks like at least 80 or 90% of it. So I think the community will be happy to see this update.
Yeah, I think that Mottman kind of being I think that's a particularly important project, just
Mhm.
given all the residential that's out there and um, all the residential that's out there, but also all the light industrial, because you have large vehicles that frequent the area too. That having bike lanes on both sides of the street there seems particularly important, so that you can navigate those areas safely. So that project strikes me as being particularly important as well.
That's my daily path, and so I've seen, there's been a lot of, or people out there, they've been surveying and doing marking things, and so it would seem that, I guess we talk to Brandon that, because this Olympia's doing that part, we'll be doing the improvements there, so I don't know what the ETA is on that project, but it looks like, they're marking pavements and doing things for that, so it'd be interesting to see
Yeah,
what the.
they're currently designing, and the schedule's been kind of fluctuating. The
Right.
Olympia segment of the project is pretty complicated, and ours is pretty basic. So
Yeah.
we're just kind of sitting around waiting. I know that they've got a certain schedule that's in the state budget, and they're adhering to it. So I would imagine we're seeing some work out in the field here in the next couple of years.
Okay, yeah.
I have sort of this might be kind of a random overarching question, but in terms of engineering and safety for bikes, do roundabouts increase bike safety compared to traffic lights? A lot of that probably depends upon specific construction factors and if you build in extra space in a roundabout. But what does the research show about roundabouts and the impact on bike travel?
Roundabouts increase safety for all modes of users. I think that the only caveat to that would be that the daily commuter cyclists, the ones who have the skinny tires and the nice clothes, are the
Yeah.
ones that really bike a lot. Oftentimes, they don't use the widened sidewalks that are intended for cyclists to get through the roundabouts, and they'll just take the lanes in the roundabout. And so there is some potential safety issues there, but most of the time they're traveling faster than the vehicles can in the roundabout. But
Yeah.
ultimately, roundabouts improve safety for all modes because it reduces the number of conflict points and speed.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're supposed to use the sidewalk for a roundabout as opposed to using the lane, but they're supposed to use the lane when it is a general like arterial, like Capitol Way. They're supposed to use the lane as opposed to being on the sidewalk for
Well,
bikes. But then they're supposed to
not
go on the sidewalk during the roundabout.
so on Capitol Boulevard, after we're done with the corridor project, they would use the bike lane, and then when you approach a roundabout, there's a ramp for the bikes to get up onto the sidewalk. The sidewalk
Mhm.
is widened from 6 feet to about 12 feet at those locations to act like a shared use path.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had a question about bikes on sidewalks. So I did have a constituent discuss how they live down at the Belcomen, and so I think he has a trike. I'm not sure if he has a bike, and so and has some issues as far as being able to stability on his bike, and so um, he likes to bike back and forth to Walmart and to the shopping and all, but has found the sidewalks are not even, and so has crashed a couple times, and so that's what I'm wondering about. Like I know we're looking at like our our pavement that, but they also brought up the comment too, as far as intercity transit, about being able to safely get on the bus there. And so I wonder how, as far as making access for the ADAs, does this come into the play in the plan, working with intercity transit to make sure that that those kinds of projects are addressed here? Is this the place to do it? So I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, well, I will say real quick that I'm on borrowed time right now. I'm supposed to get a doctor's appointment, a phone
Okay.
call any second now. But so when it comes to access to transit stops, we do work with intercity transit. Historically, some of those stops just sort of show up where land use or demand is, even if there isn't safe passage to the stops, and we're trying to get better control of that right now. And
Mhm,
perhaps when the stops are put in, ensure that there's safe access to them.
mhm,
But there are quite a few locations where there isn't safe access to the stops, and
mhm.
those become a component of prioritization in our sidewalk program.
Okay,
So it is brought into consideration. I don't believe that it's specifically addressed in the transportation plan, but I could be
okay,
wrong.
okay. All right, so if we do have comments like that, because we do have one, and then the residents of Eagles Landing concerned about trying to get to their bus stop.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so anyway, where do we have the venue to bring that forward to you? So yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
where that goes. Okay, got it.
And Eagles Landing is a good example. If you've driven
Mhm,
out there recently, we put up a little rock retaining wall to create
mhm,
a graveled shoulder at least.
mhm,
And we're trying to see if we can repurpose some of the pavement to have a little bit of pavement there as well.
yeah,
In the future, it would be a sidewalk, but it would require acquiring property from the
mhm,
mobile park there.
mhm.
And
Yeah. Yeah, and the other one, again, the one that really that they talked about was the one there at Walmart, just really having a hard time to be able to with their bike and just, yeah, been able to get on and off and everything at that particular one. I don't know. I try to look at it again to see how much sidewalk there is or how much pavement, if it's all grass anyway, but that was one that both of them are have different ability issues there. They're trying to get on and off. So yeah. Rough
yeah,
one.
I'll have to take a look at that one, and then maybe you
Okay.
and I can connect
Okay.
on.
Thank you. All right. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. Okay,
Uh,
go ahead.
So with that, we'll move on to funding, and that's kind of our last big topic before next steps and time for questions. So talking a little bit about your funding, there's a lot of different sources, and this is projections out over the next 20 years based on your historical. Obviously, as we know, all of our crystal balls are a little cracked after the pandemic. So this is our best guess at how much funding there will be over the next 20 years based on historical, and also how much is on your capital improvement plan, or kind of how much we're expecting to spend during that time period. So overall, I'd say almost 215 million is expected in revenue earmarked towards transportation capital projects. That's annually about just under 11 million. And the expected expenditure over those years is 212. Looks like we've got a little bit of shortfall. I'm not sure if I'm quite following our math here as I'm seeing this, but there might be a few other items that are in here that didn't make it on this slide. So seeing a small shortfall, but as we know, there's always, additional projects that pop up and things like that as we go. So there's a lot of different sources of that funding. A lot of it is grants, as you can see on the pie chart over here. But there is also things like impact fees, the benefit district, mitigation fees, and then all of the kind of normally earmarked funds towards transportation capital projects. There are some options to increase revenue if the city desires to look at those further. One is tax general obligation bonds. Another is a commercial parking tax. And then finally is local improvement districts for improvements that are very specific to a particular community. Not going to talk any further about the funding, but just in general, that's the overview of that for today. Next steps, and then we'll have time for questions. Dana, did you want to talk a little bit to the next steps?
Sure. We're going to be meeting with Planning Commission next Tuesday, and Daniel's going to do a very similar presentation for them to get their feedback. We are also continuing to do some community outreach, so I'm planning to attend the next concert for the craft concert series and just chat with people about the plan that we have and see if there are any additions or things that we missed, and some of the similar questions we're asking you as well. And after that, we have to submit the plan for the Washington Department of Transportation, and they certify the plan. And the Thurston Regional Planning Council also reviews the plan because it needs to align with the Regional Transportation Plan. And so they need 60 days to do that. And so we need to provide it to them as soon as possible so they can do that work. And then we'll be adding it to the comprehensive plan ordinance and moving that back to city council or through planning commission and then city council in October. And looking for final adoption in the winter. So we're getting there.
Got time for questions?
I can see everybody. How we, okay. Councilmember Jefferson, Councilmember Althauser, are we good?
Yes, we are good to go. No questions really, but can we put this on the calendar for a work session or just to brief the council and so our community members will know, especially after the community survey results?
Yeah.
I just
Susan?
made a note of that. Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, so Councilmember Jefferson, this is a component of the comprehensive plan, so it is already all fully scheduled. Brad has worked really hard over the last year or so to get all of these different elements scheduled in for review by the city council members. So yes, it will be scheduled on a future work session and or council meeting. You will probably see it several more times before we actually ask you to adopt it by ordinance or resolution later in this year or perhaps early next year.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, okay, so we don't have any other questions for our team then. All right, then we'll move on to our next item. Thank you, Dana, and thank you, Daniel, for your presentation. Appreciate that.
Thank you very
Thank you for
much.
your time.
All right, and let's talk about an amoeba-shaped roundabout. So the next item that we have on the agenda is the authority to solicit bids for the Second Avenue pedestrian and bicycle improvements project.
Yes, good morning, council members. Amoeba shape, I like that.
Right.
And how serendipitous that I'm following the comprehensive plan update. Let me pull up my slideshow here. Apologize for the delay here. Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Not yet.
All right.
Bingo.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning again. So my name is Ryan Blazer. I'm an engineer in the Transportation Engineering Department, and I am here presenting to you with the request to gain authorization for the Second Avenue pedestrian and bicycle improvements project, with the hopes of gaining authorization for the following four items: to solicit bids for this project, to construct, to place after solicitation and after bids are received, to place the lowest responsible bidder on an upcoming city council meeting, to have the mayor authorize that, to authorize any road closures as necessary during the duration of the project, and to authorize night work as required and necessary during the duration of the project. So the project background, I know you've seen it before, but as a brief background, this is a Safe Routes to Schools project. The limits of this project are on 2nd Avenue between Linwood and B Street. B Street is where the church building is up there for a point of reference. There's going to be a non-circular roundabout, an amoeba, if you will, a non-circular roundabout, which we'll see here in a second on the next slide, at the intersection of 2nd Avenue and Linwood. And this is going to improve pedestrian vehicle and traffic flow. The improvements between the roundabout and B Street will have upgrades to existing ADA sidewalk ramps, sidewalk replacement, traffic curb bulb out, storm route improvements, roadway surfacing, the works. So this project will likely begin potentially the end of this year, but in full force come early next year in the spring. So the big ticket item from this morning is a road closure. We are proposing, due to the complexity of this intersection, we're proposing a full road closure at the intersection of 2nd and Linwood. This closure is going to speed up construction of the roundabout significantly and ultimately reduce the overall impact to the traveling public by reducing the overall project length. As you can see here from the notes, there's a lot going on at this intersection. There's a lot of utilities. There's old highway concrete panels underneath it that are 8 inches thick. There's a lot going on here, and without a road closure, it'll lengthen the construction there and increase the impact to the public.
Ryan, how
Yes.
long will it be closed?
So as of right now, that's a great question, council member. We aren't expecting we're not expecting 4 months. We're not expecting 6 months. We do plan to coordinate with the contractor on that. We are able to limit that construction window for the closure. I don't have a finite answer for you at this time, but we're expecting 2 months potentially.
Oh, okay, so I'd like to know how long with the road closure and how long without the road closure.
Sure.
Right? Because we're gonna have some upset community members. So if we can show them, hey, it's better to do it this way with the road closure and the pain that comes with it
Yep.
than without. All right, thank
Yeah,
you, Ryan.
Understood.
Or if I can, Ryan.
Sure.
I just wanted to mention that so the road closure, I can tell you that generally speaking, you're probably talking about easily twice. So double the time. So that's just a wag. But normally, if we can close it, we can do it in about half the time, maybe less. One thing that we will be doing is we're gonna do very similar to we did on Percival, is we're going to have a specific number of working days that they can close it. We'll probably be putting that into our specs when we actually put it out to bid. So we'll have a number of days and it has to be consecutive. So meaning that the road closure will hopefully only occur once. So once it's closed down, it'll be closed for a period of time and then it has to open back up to traffic control during the course of the project. That way we don't have contractors closing it and then reopening it. I think we're better off just to close it for a period of time and then open it back up to traffic. It'll still be trafficking in a construction zone, but at least vehicles can move through it pretty easily. I think we can probably shorten the time down quite a bit. We're still looking at that because we have to map out kind of how the contractor is going to build it and what they need to do to get it to where we can get traffic back through it. So Ryan has some more information on our coordination efforts for that he'll be covering here in a minute. So.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Can I ask a question about this too?
Yeah.
And I think I know the answer to most of this, but just from the last time we discussed this,
Sure.
but the amoeba itself, or it kind of looks like a Halloween mask to me, like a Batman mask. But that is mountable by a fire engine, correct? And when this is closed, like one of the most important arterials here is probably Linwood, so that let's say hypothetically there is a responding event on Capitol Way right across the freeway. Like as the crow flies, that's like, I don't know, 300 yards, but Linwood is the only way to access that other than going north or south a significant distance. even when this is closed, will an engine and will an apparatus be able to take Linwood and just kind of go slowly over what might be a construction zone if they have to respond to an emergency on the other side of the highway?
Short answer, yes. And
Okay.
you're spoiling my fun a little bit on the next couple slides. So,
Oh, my
um,
bad.
no, that's all right. Yeah, spoiler alert here.
Let's put a pin in that, and then we can revisit it
Yeah,
when we get to the next slide. Sorry.
yeah. No, you're totally fine. I'm just joking with you. But it's yes. The short answer is yes. We have thought and coordinated with fire and emergency services and police. Um, and I'll with that, I'm just going to jump to the next
Cool.
one. So so this is what the closure will likely look like. Again, there are small variations that could occur, but this is what we're planning as of right now. So in the middle here, the intersection closure area, that's where the road will actually be hard closed. And then the other spurs there are for local traffic only, because we do have homes we need to provide access to. And so those will be open to those homes, but not to the general traveling public. So I have met several times with fire department and police department and police chief and the fire chief and all others with those departments that are involved with that, and they are in support of the road closure on a few conditions that we are planning to implement for the project. So as you pointed out, that is a very that's a very important connection between Second, Linwood, between Second and Capitol. That's one of, it's either there or up to Custer or down to Trosper. And so they requested specifically, well, we can't shut this down. And so they requested a 24/7 access during this road closure to access that. And we are able to provide that. We looked at several different phasing alternatives. And there are several different options that will work, and the contractor will be able to either adopt our plan to do that or come up with their own plan. But 24/7 access from, as the North End Fire Station is right there on the southwest corner, and so they will be able to pull out onto Linwood and either travel south on Second or go across to Capitol. And with that, we also met with Intercity Transit. We also met with Tumwater School District and those bus routes, and everybody is aware and in support of this, making arrangements as necessary to accommodate this road closure if ultimately approved. So to your question, it's a fantastic question, and that was a big concern, and we've shown them that it can be done, and in my opinion, I think it actually improves the response time by not having emergency services fight with flaggers or other traffic control devices or individuals. It should be just a 24/7 open access for them. So my personal belief is that it will actually improve their passageway through the intersection during construction. So the road closure, we're zooming out now. You can see that magenta right in the center there. That's the road closure area. And then this is one of several different exhibits that we created to show the detour routes and the detour times. And the longest measured detour time was about 6 minutes. And you can see here there's several different paths to get around. None of them, no one likes a detour. No one likes a closure and adding 6 minutes even. It's an inconvenience. However, as I mentioned earlier, the overall project duration will decrease in our belief significantly due to this if we implement this road closure. And all detours will be implemented with the current practices, message boards, individuals flagging if necessary, and it will be a clear detour round no matter which direction you're going from. So hopefully that answered your question a little bit more. And are there any questions?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, stop sharing your screen there. So do you have any other
Yeah.
questions? Okay, good. Let's see. So I have a few. So as far as the timing of the project, hopefully do we have any control of being able to do it like when school's out? Because then we don't have to worry about the school buses and the kiddos and things like that. Do we have some power and control over the start of the contract construction?
We do. We
Okay.
do. And we can, that's actually been a discussion
Mhm.
amongst staff on when the road closure could be or should be implemented. And just this past week coordinated with Tumwater School District with their proposed school routes for the following year, for the upcoming year,
Mhm.
and you know, providing alternatives or providing you know, if it does happen during the school year, what that could look like as far as impacts to their routes.
Mhm.
And so we do have control over that, and that can be an option that's looked at further, or either directed that, you know,
Mhm.
directed to us.
I'm just thinking about, you know, not trying to be negative, but just the whole, we were doing Israel Road and trying to have that open again for, but you know, the things that we found underground that you don't know. And so like you talk about some of the, how some of the leftover pieces of 8-inch concrete and things like that, that we don't know that we may encounter, and just, yeah, trying to keep our fingers crossed for 2 months, but yeah, that it may take a little bit longer. So that would be
Yeah.
nice. And then the turnaround on the, because you're gonna be going out to bid once, when we approve this today, and then have it back before council on the 2nd. So that's a quick turnaround. So it's just,
On that, actually, I don't think that it would be on the 2nd.
okay,
I think that was a number that was put in to indicate a placeholder, I believe.
okay,
And so it would not be on the 2nd. I believe it would be, I asked the same question recently on that
okay.
date specifically, but it would be in September, once, most likely at the end of September, or potentially the first session of October.
Okay. So on the recommended action, do we need to, because before us, we have that date in there, so do we need to take that date out to be accurate and put, deferring to Karen here, or what we need to do as far as, because there's like 4 things that we need to, part of that action.
Yes, if we know the date, we should make that correction, and if not, then the motion could just be to place it on a
On
future.
an upcoming, okay, great. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. All right, okay, so I can go ahead and read the motion. Are we ready to go ahead and move forward with this, team? Okay. All right, so we have a recommended action before us. 1, to authorize the solicitation of bids for the 2nd Avenue pedestrian and bicycle improvements project. 2, place the Public Works contract with the lowest responsible bidder on a future city council meeting with recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor to sign. 3, authorize road closures and detours as required for the duration of the project. And 4, authorize night work adjacent to residentially zoned properties when necessary to reduce impacts to the public and avoid impact to critical public services.
And I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. We're excited about bringing this amoeba forward. It's funny because we've been kind of kicking this around. It's just funny how things just, you know, now this is a safe schools project, and we're able to take that funding and turn it into something that we've been needing for a long time. And so this is really exciting. So I appreciate that. And it was nice to see your face, Bill. So thank you for coming forward. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, it seems we have come to the end of our agenda here. Do we have anything else that we need to cover today? No, it's a beautiful day. The temperatures are kind of cool, so enjoy. It's going to get hot again though, but anyway, enjoy your beautiful day. And with that, I will call the Thursday, August 21st, 2025 Public Works Committee adjourned. Bye, team.
Right.